Let's see. Okay. And then Jordan, am I sharing my screen okay? Can you check? Excellent. Okay. Welcome everybody. My name is Brad Waltzman. I'm an engineer with the Nashville Department of Transportation. We work on the Neighborhood Street Traffic Calming Program, and we appreciate you all joining tonight here at the Cane Ridge Community Club to talk about October Woods Drive and traffic calming. The first meeting was back in January. It's supposed to be here, snow and ice. We changed to virtual just to not have any safety or anything. So we're happy to be here and seeing this awesome building and being with you all. So what we'd like to do is go through about a 15-minute presentation, talk about traffic calming, October Woods Drive, what we've recommended for traffic calming solutions, and then actually walk through a very detailed, we think it's a final design. We want to get feedback. It could change, but we feel pretty good about the design. It'll be very detailed. Talk about the next steps. There'll be a vote, not tonight, in the near future. When we want to talk about that voting process for the neighborhood. And then we'll stay as long as we need to for questions and that sort of thing. So I think most people know, but when we're talking about traffic calming, we're talking about focusing on residential streets like October Woods Drive. And we're really trying to encourage speed reduction over the length of the street, not just in one spot, but over the entire street when we can. To do that, we focus on what we call the 3 E's of traffic calming. The first is education. This meeting right here is a great example of that. The first meeting in January was another good example. We're the engineers educating on solutions, but you are the experts in the neighborhood because you live there. So just together, it's a really good education opportunity for everyone. The second, enforcing posted speed limits, absolutely part of traffic calming. Enforcing what's out there, I believe it's 25 miles per hour. That's absolutely enforcing it. It's not something that NDOT has jurisdiction over. So while it is important, the NDOT, the engineers, we don't have as much jurisdiction over that. So, but we do have a lot of jurisdiction over this 30, and that's what we're here to talk about, the engineering, doing something to the roads that can really help reduce vehicle speeds along the street like October Woods Drive. So one of the reasons why Nashville really cares about traffic calming is the safety and this vision of 0 deaths on our street one day. If the really unfortunate thing happens where a pedestrian gets hit by a moving vehicle and that car's going 25 miles per hour, that pedestrian has an 89% chance of surviving. But if you look over to the far right, that same car is going 45 miles an hour and it hits a pedestrian. That pedestrian only has a 35% chance of survival. Now, we don't want any pedestrians getting hit by any cars, but if the unfortunate thing happens, we really want to reduce and focus on those vehicle speeds being closer to the left, to that 25 mile per hour. That's why the traffic calming program is so important to the city and to neighborhoods and everyone. So I think this was part of the August 2023 selection. 85 streets were chosen. October Woods Drive was one of those. So we've been working on with 85 different streets over the past almost year at this point. A lot of good things happening, but that's when you all were selected, one of 85 streets. We do like to feature that we're here for traffic calming, but if you ever have anything else, we like to make sure people know about Hub Nashville. You can call 311 or you can go to hub.Nashville.gov. That could be thing like you think there needs to be more stop signs, or there's a sign that's been knocked down, or a traffic signal's doing something weird, or maybe there's a drain inlet that's clogged. Anything you think someone at the city needs to know, this is a great tool. We like to make sure that people are just aware of this tool, but it's for traffic calming, then Jordan and I, we got you. We got you here tonight, but anything else, we like to make sure people are aware of that. So we are looking at the entirety of October Woods Drive, starting at Old Hickory Boulevard at the traffic signal, and then going west all the way, I believe it's to Red Apple Road. So technically there's a little bit of a cul-de-sac. We're not looking at that. We are stopping at Red Apple Road. But that's the section of October Woods Drive that we're focused on for this traffic calming project. So we want to get into what we're recommending. We talked about this is one of the very more common solutions for traffic calming in Nashville because we've seen they've been effective. These speed cushions, they are black modular rubberized devices. All 4 of these are actual photos in Nashville that the program is installed. At their highest height, they're about 3 inches off the ground. And you'll see that there's 2 of them, sometimes 3, and they have those gaps. Those gaps are for emergency response vehicles. Their axles and wheels are a little wider on the front. They can straddle on the front axle. They can straddle the speed cushions. Their back wheels may get up on the sides a little bit because of all that weight back there. That's one of the reasons why NDOT The speed cushions can really help to slow traffic, but it helps to not slow emergency response vehicles down as much as if it was just like a solid black modular device across. That's why the speed cushions with those gaps is something that we're recommending a lot, and we're seeing benefits. NDOT, we have collected some before and after streets. What were the speeds on a street before the speed cushions got installed? What were the speeds after they got installed? And we are seeing the speeds are decrease, and that's what the objective is. So that's why I feel pretty good about speed cushions. So we want to get right into this detailed design. This is one of, I believe, 5 sheets. So this is kind of the zoomed out version. And everywhere where you see a C, the letter C, and a yellow trapezoid, that's where we're proposing one set of speed cushions. So I'm counting real quick. I think I see 8 total. So we're recommending 8 locations along October Woods Drive between Red Apple and Old Hickory for speed cushions. And we picked that number 8 by looking for a few different things. First of all, we don't want to put these speed cushions too close together, or we start feeling like a grocery store parking lot. But we also don't want to space them too far apart, because then if motorists unfortunately still want to try to speed, there's that longer distance between they can pick up speed. So we try to find this kind of general spacing between them as sort of like the good in-between area. We also don't put speed cushions right in the middle of an intersection or right in front of someone's driveway. We don't do that. We may have to do 10 feet from a driveway just to get the spacing right. We also don't put them on really steep hills. Now, Jordan, I know when you and I did our site visits, I don't remember any steep hills on October Woods Drive. But some of these neighborhoods in Nashville, they got really steep hills. We can't put them on really steep hills. I don't think that was an issue on October Woods. You got hills, but they weren't. But we measured, they weren't too steep. So that's kind of how we came up with the spacing of 8 locations. We didn't go out there and say October Woods gets 8. Let's find a way to. We actually do the engineering thought, and then what ended up was the 8 cushions. So what we're going to do now is we're actually going to start on the left side, kind of on the Red Apple side. We're going to zoom in, and we're going to work our way east toward Old Hickory Boulevard. So now we're really zoomed in here. So we want to go through the 8 locations so people can kind of get a feel for that. What I'm going to call the first location is right there between Wild Apple Court and Smoky Hill Road. And then the next location is kind of just west of Red Bark Court. Now, right away, I want to call something else attention. We like to include these signs on signposts. So when people are pulling onto the street, before they start going over these speed cushions, they see these warning signs, let them know you're about to go over something. To really just encourage them to really be slowing down. To those warning advisory speeds are 20 miles per hour. Some people may feel comfortable driving 15. Some people may feel comfortable driving 20. It's just an advisory speed, but we do that. The other thing I want to point out on this slide in particular, you'll see the one that's west of Smoky Hill has 3 of those cushions. And you'll see the one east of Smoky Hill, closer to Red Bark Court, has 4 cushions. The reason for that is Smoky Hill is kind of where the paving width changes. And so we also try to make sure that we're not designing speed cushions and one day if the vote is successful, they get installed. But then there's all this pavement on the edges where I'll call it the drivers that still want to drive where they have like a way to go around them. So that's why, and I think for the rest of October Woods Drive, you'll see these sets of 4, but we have 3 because we didn't need as many on that one side. So those are what I'll call locations 1 and 2. Now, if we keep going east, here we have location 3 is there west of Wood Circle. Location 4 is just east of Cat Spa Drive. Location 5 is east of Waywood Circle, and then location 6 is closer to the 4005 address. I think it's called Colo Trail. Is that how you pronounce that? Okay, so just east of Colo Trail. Again, the signs, the signposts to warn them, and these cushions, you can kind of see they're pretty evenly spaced. That's on purpose. We don't want them too close, don't want them super far. So that now if we're going to go to the next sheet, you'll see there's the what I'll call location 7 and 8, the one that's between Pinwheel Drive and Craftwood Drive, and then the one that's east of Craftwood Drive. Now we have intentionally put the 8th location, the easternmost location, kind of adjacent to a residential property that's part of the neighborhood, because we do focus on residential traffic calming. So we tried to make sure we got it in front of that side yard so it's not in front of the Dollar General, not too close to the traffic signal. But that's where our traffic calming design, where we've landed. And then these are just kind of schematics. It's really more helpful for the contractor if the vote is successful. But essentially, if you were going to fly up in the air right over these things and look down, that's what they look like. Again, west of Smoky Hill, we got the 3 on the left, and then everywhere else we got the 4 on the right there. But that's the design. We can definitely come back at the end of our presentation, have discussion or answer any questions. I want to keep going now, make sure people understand the voting opportunity that'll be coming up in the very near future. So highlighted in red here, we're at the second meeting. That first meeting was back in January. Snow and ice made it a virtual only. We're here today at Cambridge Community Club. The next step is going to be an online ballot. This is an opportunity where a citizen or an HOA application for October Woods Drive got it in the NDOT evaluation to look at. October Woods Drive was deemed it needs to get some traffic calming attention. The engineers, us, have designed. Ultimately, the decision on whether this happens or not goes back to the neighborhood, and that's what we want to talk about here. So maybe within a couple of weeks of this meeting, we will upload this design to the NDOT website, and then every residential property owner along October Woods Drive, so front yard, side yard, backyard, if your property touches October Woods Drive, just like hopefully the meeting mailers for this meeting, they'll get a mailer ballot and they will get the chance to vote. They'll have a QR code or the web page version that they can type in, and it will take them to the screen that looks like the bottom left of this screen here. And they'll get to put in their name, their address, and they also, everybody on the mailer ballots gets a unique ID code. It's kind of like a secret code, so we can all make sure that everyone's voting who they're supposed to. And they'll put that in so we can kind of make sure that we're not seeing any, funny voting or anything like that. When the people get the mailer ballot and they go to the webpage in the bottom left corner, there's also a link where you can click on the link and actually look at this design we just talked through. So anybody who's not here at the meeting tonight will have the chance, if they so choose, to view the design while they're voting or before they vote. So when the mailer ballots get sent out, that voting period will remain open for 6 weeks. And at the end of that 6 weeks, we will close the voting, then we will tally all the votes. And if 66% or 2/3 of the people that actually voted vote yes, then this traffic calming project is going to get built. If that 2/3, if 2/3 of those who voted did not vote yes, then it will not be built. The speed cushions will not get installed. So that is the number of the people that vote, the 2/3 threshold. And this graphic kind of represents those eligible voters. So a lot of these, it shows a good sampling, but I want to call out a few things. The really, really large common areas, they don't get a vote. So we make the graphic pretty close to equal, but I want to clarify a few things. So the HOA doesn't get a vote. Common areas don't get a vote. The Dollar General does not get a vote. If it has to be a residential property. So I know that on this graphic here, we got a couple of commercial, they won't get a vote. We kick them out of the voting. It's just the residential property owners. And then if there's any vacant properties, I guess like an HOA common area, they do not get a vote either. So even if it's a residential property, but there's no home, I don't think you have any in this neighborhood, but there are some neighborhoods like that. They don't get a vote either if there's no home dwelling or anything. So yeah, so a few disclaimers to the graphic here, but yeah, businesses are ineligible for the voting. And yes, that's pretty much the presentation. So the thought is that we'll have our discussion, answer questions, and then the thought is that within a few weeks, the voting period will open, the mailer ballots will go out, and the voting. Yeah, roughly. I'm kind of giving you an estimate, but yeah, we may send them out in the mail next week, or maybe a week and a half. But my guess is that if people are not, if they own residential property that touches October Woods Drive, and they haven't gotten their ballots in like 3 weeks, they may want to reach out to the NDOT traffic calming email, because by that time I would think that they should have gotten them by then. So yeah, I'd love to open up. First of all, I do want to pause. We have myself and Jordan, and then 4 people in the audience. Jordan, do we have anybody who's on the WebEx? Nobody? Okay, so nobody's chatted. Any questions? Happy to open it up to anybody here.
Let me clarify, I don't live within the neighborhood. I live on the street here.
Mhm.
It looks like there's about 70 homes, somewhere around there.
Okay.
You kept saying two-thirds of respondents.
Yes.
But even if there's only 9 people and 6 of them,
There's not a minimum. Currently, there's currently not a minimum. The NDOT, I guess, position is that people, if they're really interested, they will vote, and if they're not interested, they will not vote. And we don't want the non-respondents to count for or against either way. So we kind of just like a normal election. We only count. Right. But like the meeting mailers, all the ballots do get sent to, again, aside from HOA common areas and the commercial, they do get sent to everyone, and they have the chance to vote if they so choose. So the paper ballot will be essentially either a QR code you can scan with a phone to take you to the website, or it will actually have like the website you can type in to go. You will vote online. If people don't have internet, well, some people in Metro Nashville do not have internet. So we do also provide the option with the NDOT phone number, where people are permitted to call in their vote. We do encourage the webpage and the internet voting, but just to make sure we're not excluding anybody who may not have. Yeah, so that's an option, but the web page is there, so yeah, people can vote. It's easier for NDOT to compile and review the results, and then the design is right there on that extra web page. Correct. Correct, because we don't have your email addresses, and so yeah, so we secure it by just taking you to here and making sure you get your name and your address, and then your secret code. Everyone's will be different, alpha, numeric, and then we just, if somebody's voted 10 times, we're gonna remove the 9 oldest and take, we do things like that to make sure we're getting an accurate vote result. Yeah, so I would say if you were to receive your mailer ballot and you put in your code and it says you already voted, I don't think that would happen. Well, no, I'm saying, like, I think your vote would be registered. I don't think you get a message saying, what we would see on the back end as we do our due diligence when we review, we would see your name and your address with your matching ID code. And if someone else had used your ID code we'd be like, oh, that's not right. So, but yet you wouldn't see any issues. You'd still be able to register your vote. That's just what we review on the back end. To make sure that, you don't take your ID code and vote for, yeah. So that's the review we do on the back end to make sure the results are legitimate.
to the registered property owner address or to the physical property.
The owner address. And so if there is, for instance, a renter, and the owner lives in a different state, the mailers and the ballots will go to the owner in a different state. Because it is not by resident, it is by property owner. So we do send them to the owner addresses. Yeah.
They say they communicate all the time, but is that appropriate?
Yeah, I don't think that we really have a strong stance on that. I think my opinion is, if the renters don't get a vote, but they want to help encourage the neighborhood to vote one way or another, that's one way they can help. Another thing is if they can talk with their property owner, if the owner's comfortable with giving the ID, we're not going to get in the middle of that, but we send the mailer with the ID code just to the owner address, and then.
Two of them I've talked to them after the meeting and saying, what, kind of give them some guidance. The best thing I don't tell them is, hey, if you want this, you
Yeah.
And that because it's one of the things coming from the street view. And so, yeah, and then they're excited about it. It's neat that it has but now it's feedback.
Yeah. So that's how the ballots will be sent out.
So I don't know. On the other online one, it's 17 people, which are these people there. Scott been making for he's gonna try to make it. And he's like, all older people, he's for it, and a bunch of other people else hasn't heard it. So I don't know things that you're willing to pay. If you want to reach out to your neighbors and encourage them to do that, you can do that. So I don't think that's a problem too. And I always tell people, I've been trying to like, hey, I need to vote. One way or another, your vote counts more. I always tell them that 60% thing. Say, if you want it, fine. If you don't, I'm out of it. But if you want to have it, please vote. So I try to stay out of the middle of it as much as possible.
I have another question.
Yeah.
Trying to go into the education part of things. One of the things that I noticed, hey, when we had that ice storm, is that tens of thousands of dollars worth of the yellow striping that they had put in at the exit from 24 onto Century Farms got pulled up with the plows.
The snow plows ripped up some pavement markings.
How does it work with these? I mean, these are not going to tear up a plow. I guess they would just hold up, but I don't know. I'm just curious if education was, and some neighborhoods are marked from earlier. How does this?
Right. So if the vote is successful and the speed cushions are installed, then once they're installed, NDOT coordinates with the snowplow team at NDOT to kind of let this kind of in their tally of the streets to let them know that October Woods Drive would have speed cushions on that street. So if it's snow plowing or salting or anything like that, then they would know. Then one of two things would happen. The first, which I don't think is as likely, is that the cushions may get temporarily removed, and then they can salt and plow as they needed after the snowstorm, and then they would get reinstalled. The second, which I think is actually the more likely, is that communication internally, so snowplow teams know which streets they need to be aware of. Also, why those yellow signs are helpful. As a reminder, the plows can actually lift up at the speed cushion and kind of go down once they've gone over it, so that the plows don't damage them. And then I will say, if this vote is successful and the speed cushions do get installed and there is any sort of damage from snowplows or anything else, that is when a Hub Nashville request would be appropriate. Not right now, but like if they get built, and like, because NDOT's going to maintain these, so if they're damaged or they get dislodged, that's when Hub Nashville would be a great resource to make sure that gets resolved.
By that time, it may not matter, but yes.
Yeah, absolutely. We had a meeting last night. The exact same question came up. It's a hot topic. So yeah, we appreciate the question. Yeah, so let's talk about construction. So I have good news and bad news. The good news is the traffic calming program has been wildly successful. NDOT and Metro has been really funding it to really slow down speeds and make these residential streets safer. So there's been a lot of successful votes. The bad news is there's been so many successful votes, the contractor list of projects to get speed cushions installed keeps growing and growing. So we're seeing some cases where it actually goes longer than that. The good news is NDOT has worked hard. They have gotten more contractors on board to do the speed cushion installation. So every week, I feel like that time frame is like decreasing, which is great news. I feel like it's possible they could be installed if the vote is successful, maybe within 6 months. Oh, did they? Oh gosh, you might be right. I'm not sure about that, but maybe. But I know they've gotten more contractors. I didn't know about that part. But so the 8 to 10 months, at one point that was right. At one point it was actually longer. I think we're actually getting closer to that, but decreasing, which is good news.
People ask me, I like to get the worst case scenario.
Right. But the reasoning is because that there's so many successful votes that the list is, and now the contractor's working through them. Yeah. So but that would probably be the time frame if there's a successful vote. Yep. Oh yeah.
So if you can just go to the sheet where they're located.
Sure.
You know, the stuff first where you did the presentation of what traffic calming is, what the message is. Maybe what you're most interested in. Is that right? No, that's all right. Apologies for being late.
Yeah.
But that last slide you had there.
Yeah, so let's go through it. So we are proposing a total of 8 locations of speed cushions between Red Apple Road and Old Hickory Boulevard. We came to that number because we don't want them too close, like a grocery store parking lot, but we don't want them too far away where the people that want to speak. And so it's kind of the happy medium of spacing. And so that's where we've come up with our 8 locations. And then we can kind of breeze through them, starting at the west at Red Apple Road. We have a set just west of Smoky Hill, and then a set between Smoky Hill and Red Bark. And then we got 4, I'll call them cushion locations, 3, 4, 5, and 6. Just west of Waywood Circle, just east of Cat Spa Drive, just east of Waywood Circle, and then just east of Colo Trail, and then going right there, you can see the Old Hickory signal. We got locations 7 and 8, one on either side of Craftwood Drive, but that easternmost is kind of next to the side yard of the home. We're not in front of the Dollar General doing speed cushions. We are waiting until a car gets into the kind of the neighborhood area, and that's where that first set. So for instance, cars that are going from Old Hickory Boulevard to the Dollar General won't go over these. They're not going to go, but if the cars are going past that driveway to the Dollar General, then they will be going over that first set of speed cushions. Yeah, so in about 2 weeks, if you are a residential property owner that your property touches October Woods Drive, you will get a mailer ballot similar to these meeting mailers. The mailer ballot will look like the upper left corner there. It'll look similar to that. You'll have a secret unique ID code. Everyone will have one. And it'll take you to a web page, either that QR code or the actual website is also there if you want to type it in. You will vote online. You will vote on an NDOT website that looks like that bottom left corner. You'll put your name, your address, and you'll type in that secret code so we can make sure that you are who you say you are.
QR and there's a code.
Either way, if people know how to use a QR code, that works. Some people don't. So we got the website. If some people don't have internet, there's also a phone number that you can call someone at NDOT to register your vote over the phone. So we try to make sure everyone has a way to vote if they're interested.
Now, Sam, there's only 6 of us here. Well, how many of us? 3. So, I mean, we care, obviously, right? Let's go with that. All right. How many houses are around there? How many? They get one, but it's the owner gets it. And I'm so good thing in the voting process. That's the voting process. Oh.
So yeah, so they'll. Yeah, so it's 2/3 of the people that vote will need to vote yes for it to be considered successful. Oh, I don't know. Many pass, some fail, but many pass. And the voting turnout really varies. It's a high percentage of the streets usually pass, but some streets, don't want it, and that's why we let the neighborhoods vote, because every neighborhood has a different opinion collectively. So, but yeah, it is 2/3 of those that vote. So someone who doesn't respond at all doesn't count for or against the tally. So we're only going to be counting the yeses and the nos, kind of like a general election. If somebody doesn't vote, they don't really count either way. So yeah, and with that voting period, we think the mailer ballots, you can probably expect to get them in about 2 weeks or so in your mailbox, and that'll kind of start that 6-week clock. And then at the end of the 6 weeks, that's when we'll close it, and then we'll do our tallying. And usually we let the applicant know. I guess maybe that might be you, or the council member, know what the results are. And it's kind of up to you all to distribute it as you would to your neighborhood.
So roughly 2 weeks, these come out, and then how much time do you have?
We leave the voting open for 6 weeks.
Oh, 6 weeks.
Yeah, just in case. Every once in a while the mail gets lost in week 4, or someone will be like, "Hey, I thought I was supposed to get my ballot now. I didn't get it," and we can work through them over the phone, and that happens. So we try to give it. We feel like 6 weeks was not too quick, but also not too drawn out. So
6 weeks, and then reach out every day. We had a lot of people there for it, but in this thing, remember that before and do that. A lot of people wait to do it. And say that I don't know one number, but I don't know. But they're, yeah.
This is all coming out of the current budget year, and so even though it's been pumped out, it's already appropriated. This will have to, for this to continue next fiscal year, council's got to approve this again in July, not for this project, because this will be this current year. But in the future, how's it looking? About how much roads flowing,
yeah, so I'll try to hit on your. I'm not on council, but I'll try to answer your question. So yeah, this the NDOT, the Metro Council has funded traffic calming program, and so what we're talking about for October Woods Drive, like there is funding for it. So if there's a successful vote, like it will get built. And then each year, typically the traffic calming program is funded each year, each fiscal year. The amounts may vary from year to year, but yeah, usually the traffic calming program is funded each year.
Yeah, that should be appropriate. So they allowed it along in the 80 fiscally for this year.
Yeah, this isn't a project where you all vote and then like there's really no contingencies. It's just like the money's there. It's for the traffic calming program. October Woods Drive was one from that bucket, if you will. And then if it's a successful vote, like the cushions will get installed.
observation. We have so many developments coming in and out here, and we keep working on calming by design. Design it, get going in a way that will have this problem. And it's interesting if you look back at the woods, back then we thought wide, straight, nice streets were the bomb. Now it's like, oh my God, we built all these raceways. Come back and correcting it. So I appreciate that y'all have been willing to entertain creative solutions. I know we tried the asphalt speed humps for a while, and that certainly the speed humps and bumps didn't work made out of asphalt, and all the noise complaints, I think we take some of them back out. So I think this is a really nice creative way, and y'all don't lose sight of the fact that you get people to come out in your neighborhood. It's actually helping us over here on Main Ridge and everywhere else because so I think it's a good thing. It's just interesting lessons we learned about traffic calming by design. Do the strength of the streets, and ironically, that gives the developer more to do than some narrow cost of it.
I think the material used for this is that dense rubber.
It is, yeah. It's those speed cushions, kind of that modular rubberized devices. I know you did I hear you correctly that previously the street had asphalt? Oh, other ones.
It's speed bumps and also asphalt.
They are, yeah. Different people have different opinions. NDOT's opinion is each one of these speed cushions is the exact same. Each asphalt pour of a speed hump could be a little, these are all going to be the same. And yeah, I think the bottom left photo maybe shows it the best, but there's small little holes. There's so many bolts. I want to say there's 20 to 30 bolts in each cushion that kind of bolts those things in to really keep it pretty secure on the road.
They
Yeah.
The circles, yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, so that's one of the things that our team, Jordan and I included, kind of talked about traffic circles, and ultimately we decided not to recommend them really for two main reasons. The first is that we want to make sure, whether it's school buses or fire trucks, that they can get that they can get around the circle without having to drive over it. And this road was a little too tight for that. And we do not widen pavement or take right of way as part of the traffic calming. We don't do that. So that's one of the reasons we kind of got removed. The other is there are some streets. I used to live in a neighborhood in Nashville that had traffic circles. They're very nice, but if you put a traffic circle in, you might have another traffic circle further away. What we'd like is these cushions that are kind of closer together, so they're maintaining kind of that speed along the entirety of the road, and for about almost the same cost, perhaps. I mean, yeah. Yeah. Yes, some are. If you get the right, size of an intersection, you can do it well. But we've seen a lot of the,
Yeah, we've got a lot of tractor trailers get home on the new traffic circle down at Multimodal and Pettis, and there's really no reason for it. I mean, yeah, they did pull all the way forward before they started the corner, and then we'll get there.
yeah. Cool. What else, everybody?
Optimistically speaking, if this passes, let's say here we are early May, June, is that when the 8 to 10 month starts?
Yeah, it would be after a successful vote. And 8 to 10 months really is an estimate. We do feel like that's actually declining, which is good news. We are seeing that time frame because NDOT's got more contractors. They're putting more attention. It's great. So, but after that online ballot starts, because yeah, NDOT's not gonna put an order in for materials if they don't know if it's gonna be successful or not. So that's why we wait. But yeah. Anything else from the group?
I didn't talk to people across the street or not just heard of that. She did the mail, but I'm like, I told her about meeting today.
The folks to my left, they're renting. Yeah, it'd be Gordon. Yeah, but they got Walter. Walter's for it. Okay,
Walter's for it. I think different people. Because the big thing is like, if people like you kind of live that street, but if you're pulled in backing out of that street, it's possible coming through. Two different hills that come up. If you're down back more where your neighborhood is, coming over from Waywood, that's like a hill, and you can't see stuff, or you come from Apple Valley, that hill, people can't see, they're pulling out. And there's stuff coming on up front. So I have a few email addresses of people up front that I can talk to.
More than one person just backing out when you were in.
And I'll talk. Yeah. I'll talk to the Vietnamese lady that lives between me and you, Susie. Yeah, Mrs. Chow.
Right.
I'll talk to her.
If you get 10 and the fellow does,
I have a post-recording question.
Absolutely. Yeah. Anything else on traffic calming? All right. Well, thank you very much. Appreciate everybody being here. Go ahead and end the meeting and stop the recording. Let's see here.